You're watching The 7 from WATE 6 on your side.
Good evening, I'm Bo Williams, and welcome to The 7. You know, every day we start with a run-through of the big 7 stories of the day, and on this Tuesday evening, we are starting with the City of Knoxville election. It is Election Day, and we've been following the process at the polls since they opened at 8 this morning. You're looking at some video from Shannondale Elementary, and our first big story, Blake Stevens shares what he's been seeing with an hour left to cast a ballot.
I'm outside Norwood Elementary, one of the many voting locations in Knoxville. I've been here for about a half hour. I've counted fewer than 20 people going in to vote. And despite how slow things are here right now, Chris Davis, Knox County's Administrator of Elections, still expects the numbers tonight to be big. And that's because voters are heading to the polls this year with a lot of issues top of mind: a shortage of housing, particularly affordable housing, as well as a rise in gun violence over the last year and a couple years of COVID-19 restrictions. 5 incumbent council members are hoping to serve another term, while 5 challengers are hoping their message of a more conservative city government wins the day.
What's on my mind is everyone getting on one accord, of course, with this pandemic situation, especially with the schools, especially on your job. If there's some kind of way we could get on one accord with that, that would be great, because it's just it's madness right now.
Remember, the polls close tonight at 8. Chris Davis tells me they will be posting those early vote totals around 8:15. They'll release absentee hopefully around 8:30 tonight. And then he said the precinct by precinct results will trickle in throughout the night. He does hope to have uncertified results by the end of the night. In Knoxville, Blake Stevens, WATE 6 on your side.
All right, Blake, thank you. And as Blake just mentioned, the polls again close at 8 o'clock tonight, so you have just under an hour to get out there and cast your vote. Remember, unlike early voting on Election Day, you must vote at your assigned precinct. Of course, we're going to be watching for those results for you, and as soon as they start coming in, we'll start posting them online at WAT.com, as well as scrolling them at the bottom of your screen. And then stay with us, as your local election headquarters will be with the candidates sharing their takes on the results tonight on WAT 6 Near Side News at 11 o'clock. A new update and a big story we followed for weeks now. It's about the death of Sevier County General Sessions Court Clerk Connie Holt. District Attorney Jimmy Dunn tells us the preliminary investigation shows Holt was shot and killed by her boyfriend, Eric Peters, who then took his own life. The 2 bodies were found October 24th inside a home on Eagle View Drive. Holt was a longtime civil servant. Her death shocked neighbors and county leaders. And we're getting new information and a new look at our next big story. A house fire in East Knoxville that sent 1 person to the hospital. Our crew just got back with some of these pictures of the home. It's in the 3800 block of Speedway Circle. And, well, Knoxville firefighters got the call just before 5 o'clock with a report that there were 2 people inside and upstairs. Now, firefighters were told that one of the 2 was bedridden. KFD says the woman was able to roll herself out of bed and then get down below the smoke line. Firefighters found her in a bedroom. She was taken to UT Medical Center suffering from smoke inhalation. The other person was able to get outside unhurt. Now, the fire reportedly started in a bedroom across the hall. 1 firefighter suffered a twisted ankle in the process. Investigators are right now looking into what caused this fire. Our next Big 7 story is another update to breaking news. This time, though, a school bus wreck. Take a look at some of this video and these images here. We've learned that 9 students were taken to the hospital from this school bus wreck that happened in Greene County. Now, this is video just in to the newsroom from our Tri-City sister station, WJHL. Now, the video shows the bus tipped onto its side and off the edge of the roadway. Greene County Superintendent said 27 children were on the bus. Those students came from Baileyton Elementary along with North Greene Middle and High Schools. The bus was reportedly being driven by a teacher who did have proper credentials to drive and was actually filling in for the usual driver. Of course, we're going to keep watching for more information. We'll have that for you tonight at 11 o'clock. Our next Big 7 at 7 story brings an answer to something that's had viewers wondering. They want to know what's up with these signs. Now, they read, "Please say no to panhandling. There's a better way to help." Well, those signs come with QR codes you can scan with your smartphone, taking you to the web page for the United Way of Greater Knoxville. When you donate, leaders of the United Way say that the money goes to a bucket fund. The chief strategy officer with United Way says they are approaching homelessness with now a systemic approach.
So by donating to the great nonprofits like volunteer ministry centers or Salvation Army or any of those organizations on Broadway that are doing this work, you're really addressing more of the holistic problem as opposed to the individual.
City leaders also remind people not all panhandlers are homeless. The group supporting this approach say it will help streamline the giving process, making sure the money goes to homeless with a true need. Sad milestone takes up the next spot on our Big 7 list for you. The number of suspected overdose deaths in Knox County has now surpassed last year's record. Matter of fact, what you're looking at behind me here, this is the website for District Attorney Sharm Allen's office, which has been tracking those numbers really going back to 2017. And when you take a look at this, you'll be able to see that 384 suspected overdose deaths so far have been accounted for in 2021, with 2 months still to go. Last year, the DA's office counted 383 for the entire year. Numbers for the prior years were in the high 200s. And in a post today, Knoxville police wanted to remind you that, quote, if you or a loved one are struggling with drug addiction, there is help out there. Locally, the Metro Drug Coalition can help, and the number to call is 865-588-5550. Our next Big 7 story, Knoxville police and how they checked on sex offenders, making sure that they are following the law in and around the Halloween season. Now, behind me is what you're looking at here, some video from years past, and we've actually followed along with law enforcement agencies performing those compliance checks. KPD dubbed this year's effort Operation Innocence, checking in on offenders in person and virtually. Turned out to be 100 compliance reviews. And during the reviews, officers issued 11 felony sex offender warrants, plus warrants for resisting arrest and violation of probation. And on Halloween night, investigators served 4 outstanding warrants for breaking these sex offender rules. Now, in a statement, Police Chief Eve Thomas said this operation lets sex offenders know that we are watching and will not tolerate violations that potentially put our children at risk. Well, right now we are tracking the coronavirus for you and answers about the exemptions to the mask mandate in Knox County schools. We are now learning that 340 students and 10 staff members have been granted exemptions from the court-ordered mask rule. Also, the school system is saying student athletes or performers will not need to wear a mask when playing, practicing, or performing in a school activity. Now, they'll have to mask up on the bench. Coaches can drop their mask briefly to communicate, but spectators are expected to remain masked. Now, that mask mandate was ordered by a federal judge in a lawsuit filed by parents of disabled students. The exemptions were a sticking point, with the two sides clashing over the specifics. But in the end, the judge ruled that a system much like last year's would go into effect, but the district would have to keep track of how many exemptions were granted. It is worth noting that lawmakers in Nashville passed a ban on mask mandates for public schools. Governor Bill Lee has not decided yet on whether to sign it, veto it, or allow it to become law without his signature. Also, we'll be watching to see how that potential law collides with the court case and the pending appeal.